You think the Ravens are the biggest winners in the AFC North this offseason?
This is a team that consistently is going to be in position to contend because of how talented they are. The reality of it is those guys can play.
In the AFC should watch out for the Baltimore Ravens this season.
Players in the NFL, certainly one of the best players at quarterback. They got a guy at tailback in J.K. Dobbins, who I think could be an all-pro. They got one of the best tight ends in football, a plethora of perimeter weapons, some health on the offensive line, a very good defensive line, one of the better young linebackers in the NFL, and a top 5 secondary. And no one talks about it.
Yo, what it is? Welcome to the post-game show at the bank, a Baltimore Ravens podcast. This was not one of the games that I was looking forward to come on this post-game show to talk about, man. But as we already know, man, if you don't know, the Ravens lost. We lost to the Indianapolis Colts 22-19, man. And I'm gonna just go ahead and say that in my opinion, I feel like that game shouldn't have been that close. That game, man, it's just terrible. I don't even know. I'm at a loss of words for real, because I told everybody, if y'all didn't pay attention to my Saturday episode, man, please go back. I called it. I said it. I said, yo, this game is a trap game. The Colts don't have nothing to lose from this. Nothing. Nobody expects the Colts to win the division. Nobody expects the Colts to go to the playoffs. Nobody even got their Colts even going to the damn Super Bowl. But these guys were going to keep fighting. I alluded to in the first 2 weeks, the Colts game went toe-to-toe against both teams, and they went toe-to-toe against Jacksonville, who lost today. So, man, it shows that right now that the Ravens, number one, has a couple of things that we has to improve in. Number two, man, ball security should be top priority, man, because that really killed us. That first half was just shitty, terrible, no rhythm. We just didn't look too good at the beginning, man, because we had on the offensive side that we had Lamar have 2 fumbles himself. Kenyon Drake came in with a big explosive play right off the bench, but then he fumbled. And it just kept giving the Colts momentum, and it kept leaving the door wide open for the Colts, man. And that's exactly how the Colts won. They kept putting that field goal kicker in damn field goal range, yo. That offense only had one explosive play, and that was the damn play against Patrick Queen, man. That Patrick Queen kind of got mossed on. I felt like if Patrick Queen would have got his head around just a little bit quicker, that should have been an interception. But you know, I mean, to keep it a buck though, it was a good play there because the Colts was saying that the Ravens was gambling, was blitzing on one side of the field. They could not stop Kyle Hamilton, who had a tremendous big game, and I cannot wait to talk about him. But let's talk about how this offense started off real slow, man, like real slow. So let's go back to the keys that I had gave out on Saturday show. That I said number one was keep getting Zay the ball. Now the Ravens was able to do that in my opinion because Zay Flowers was touching the ball was touching the ball a lot of times. Was touching the ball so many times that I felt like that they was kind of forgetting about the ultimate blanket of our offense and Mark Andrews. I felt like he was kind of force feeding it to Zay, man. And as I'm sitting here trying to pull up the stats real quick, but Zay had some good targets. Zay was able to he didn't have no drop passes. Zay had no drop passes. Every pass that came to Zay and hit Zay hands, he touched. So he had 8 targeted. Oh no, he had 10 targeted. I'm sorry, 10 targeted, 8 receptions for 48 yards, as long as 8 yards, and it was averaging 6 yards a catch. So it seems like you was getting it to Zay, you was feeding it, but that's not how the offense really should have been flowing, man. I felt like it was going the way how the Ravens wanted to go. We was running the ball, you know what I mean? So we was able to get Zay the ball. Number 2 was don't leave no points on the field. And I felt like the Ravens kind of put themselves out of by them having a slow start. They wasn't putting themselves to even get points on to even lead points. You know, they like I said, the offense was struggling so much that first half, man. You can just see that the momentum was still favoring the Colts. So it just really wasn't going our favor when it comes for leaving points on the field. But and also Justin Tucker, man, we got so accustomed and so used to him making these long field goals that we just believed that he was going to actually make this one. I really thought he was going to make this one and actually was going to make it, and he didn't. He left it just a little bit short, man, and you can't fault him because most kickers wouldn't have made that anyway. So I still believe in Tucker. Tucker was still able to put us into the game. You feel me? So if it wasn't for the offense just having that slow start, man, we wouldn't have been in this situation because as I had alluded to in my third key is establish the run game. And I felt like the Ravens did that. The Ravens established the run game good enough that Lamar had 14 carries for 101 yards. Gus Edwards had 11 carries for 51 yards. Melvin Gordon had 10 rushes for 32 yards. And that led to the whole total offense, the total run offense to 186 yards. That's like a recipe that the Ravens always had and always will need. It's like keep pounding the damn ball, chew the clock up. But for this time, the game plan didn't work because because you're chewing up the clock does not automatically means that you got to still put points on the board. And if you're not, I'm sorry, y'all, if y'all couldn't hear me for that, but I was just saying that if there's no reason to chew up the clock if you're not putting points on the board. If you're not going to lead points, if you're not going to put points on the board, chewing up the clock does not mean anything at all. You feel me? It does not mean nothing. So that's what I was saying about the key points about you got to establish the run game and you can't leave points on the field. And that's exactly what the Ravens kind of did today was leave points on the field. But now on the defensive side, honestly, in my opinion, the defense played tremendous. Now they let Minshew have a little bit of confidence, as we can clearly see right here that we clearly see during that game, because Gardner Minshew was 27 for 44, 227 yards, and 1 touchdown. And that passing touchdown was a deciding factor in my eyes. And I feel like if Gardner Minshew, that's why I was saying take away his confidence. If we would have took away his confidence, we was getting to him. We was putting pressure on him. Kyle Hamilton did one hell of a job, man. One hell of a job. My man Kyle Hamilton put up a career stat today. He had 3 sacks by himself. 3 sacks coming out of that safety position. And honestly, I felt like Kyle Hamilton was the single-handedly and the Ravens defense was keeping us in the game. Because honestly, man, it felt like the Colts momentum, the way they had that momentum, it felt like the Colts could have scored and should have been blowing out the Ravens more than what happened. So luckily, Kyle Hamilton was there today, man. It wasn't for Kyle Hamilton. Like, woo, where will we be? And shut the run down. In my opinion, I feel like the Ravens rush defense wasn't all that. Wasn't too good. The dude Zach Moss, man, he was busting out yards. Now, he didn't finish the game, but Zach Moss had 30 carries for 122 yards. And then Simeon had 5 rushes for 17 yards. Team total had 139 rushing yards. So our rushing defense wasn't on point today. I felt like that they was just part in the ocean, Moses, the Red Sea, and Zach Moss was just getting up there. And also the Ravens had a lot of missed tackles. If we didn't have that so many missed tackles, Jadeveon Clowney had 2 of them. Like, man, when you wrap them up, you gotta take them down. This is no longer practice. This is not training camp, anything in that nature. You got to take the players down. You can't just wrap them up and think the play is going to keep going. I mean, the play is over with. As long as this person's legs just keep churning and he get away for that wrap up, man. Like, so I felt like the Colts most definitely was getting away with us not shutting the run down. Now, forcing turnovers really wasn't a big factor in this game because, Gardner Minshew did not throw an interception. Even when the Ravens forced him to have a fumble, we wasn't able to really recover it. Too busy trying to scoop and score and not worrying about securing the ball, recovering the fumble. So it's just like the Ravens, in my opinion, had a lot of mental mistakes, and the mental mistakes really killed us today. That's what it really killed us. It wasn't the penalties. We was all right on penalties. It was just the simple things. Scoop and grab and fall on the ball, recover the fumble. Not just trying to hurry up and pick it up and try to make the highlight play, trying to be the hero. Hero ball always messes up team ball. So I know a lot of people are gonna say, Dad, here you go with this. And I felt like the refs really, really got in the way today. The refs missed 2 big calls, 2 of them. And both of them was on big plays A. And they should have called. It was a blatantly face mask in that third quarter or early fourth quarter. I'm sorry. Blatantly face mask. Grabbed him all inside his helmet. Didn't call that, but you want to call the block. What is it? Illegal block behind the back. You want to call that, but you don't want to call a face mask. Then on the deciding factor to whether the Ravens offensive drive was going to continue or not, it was blatant that defense, that linebacker turned and was on Zay Flowers' hip and turned them, and the flag did not come out. That right there. Now, in some state, we shouldn't have been in this predicament. We should have been able to close the door on them and not give them confidence. But like I alluded to in the beginning of this episode, man, it's a trap game. When you fall into a trap, man, it's very hard to get out of. Very hard to get out of. And like I said in the Saturday episode, that what do trap games kind of do for teams that you get trapped early? It humbles you. It makes you think about the fundamental things that you didn't do and was able to do in this game. And then it puts you better and gets you ready for the Browns next week. Because that's what we got. We got another AFC North clash. And it's going to be back-to-back weeks when we have our AFC North clash. We got the Browns and then we got the Steelers. And both of those games are going to be physical. And if those games don't come down to us wrapping up and finishing the game, man, we're going to be sitting at like 2-3 or something in that nature. That's not how we want to start this season. I understand we got a lot of injuries. A lot of injuries we're going to have to overcome. Because we seen that Gus Edwards went down, is in concussion protocol. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. We most definitely going to need him to come back because we can't just keep having depleted running backs or depleted something. So, man, I this game, we flew into a trap. This one, Flocks. So we most definitely got to regroup, retool, go back to the fundamentals because, like I said, them Cleveland Browns who won today is looking to most definitely try to solidify themselves to be up top of that AFC North and try to tell people why they not going to be the basement team this year. So got to get it right. Got to get them things tight, man. So this game, like I said, it was a trap game. So hopefully this game will humble the Ravens and able to put the Ravens back on the hungry streak that we should be that we was on in the beginning of the season. So like I said, it's still early. It's nothing to put our heads down. It's nothing to get upset. It's nothing to be mad about or nothing like that. It's just we gotta be able to do fundamental things. So I appreciate everybody who tuned in, whoever commented, man. My guy My guy D Hop, he most definitely commented. Shout out to you for tuning in, my guy, man. I appreciate you. Most definitely, oh man. But most definitely, shout out to the Grid Network. Make sure y'all go out here and check out all the great talent, the great shows that we have on here. Carving It Up with Bryce, All Even Podcast, Clutch Sports, who was on earlier this morning at 11. Outside the Cage. Make sure you, if y'all into MMA, make sure y'all go check my guys out. The Forum, if you're a Laker fan, make sure y'all go check my guy Patrick out. And then, like I said, Raider Nation. If you are a Raider fan and you wants to keep up with your Raiders podcast, anything that nature, we got one. It's called the Raiders Roundup. Make sure y'all tune in to my man D Hop as he go give out his Raiders takes and stuff. So be on the lookout for that podcast, man. And as always, man, it's still big trust, because why do you trust anything else? I catch y'all next Saturday, you feel me? 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, you always catch me at the bank on the Grid Network here and on YouTube also. So I catch y'all when I catch y'all. See ya.